Hello and welcome back to my channel. So if you are on low carb or keto diet, chances are you've heard of Shirataki noodles or some kind of 0-calorie noodle or a miracle noodle. Well, if you haven't, then this is it. It's usually packaged in plastic and it's kept in the refrigerated section of, I think, a lot of grocery stores now, and if not, definitely in your Asian market. So the special thing about these is that they're made from a type of Japanese yam, which our bodies can't digest. So the plus side about that is that they're 0-calorie as well as 0-carbs. So it's really good for keto, especially good for low-calorie diets. So they're almost too good to be true, but some people report that it does have a bit of a fishy or odd taste to it, but there are steps that you can take to reduce those tastes, and I'm going to show you how. So today we're going to be making a cheesy shirataki pasta with a nice, simple, dry rubbed grilled chicken on top. It's going to remind you a little bit of a Alfredo pasta mixed with maybe mac and cheese, somewhere in between. So why don't you come in, let me show you how to do it. Alright, so we're going to be keeping it pretty simple today. There's going to be two main elements to the dish, the grilled chicken and of course our cheesy pasta. So for the pasta part, we're going to be having our shirataki noodles here, which I'm going to show you how to prepare. And it's going to be in a cheesy sauce, so we have about 2 ounces of cheddar cheese here. We're going to be putting in 1 tablespoon of butter, and we're going to season it up with some dried basil leaves at the end. And of course, the base of the sauce will be heavy whipping cream. For the chicken part, we're going to be using boneless, skinless chicken breast here. And to season it up, I'm using Lawry's seasoning salt, as well as some ground cayenne and black pepper. If you don't have Lawry's, it's not a huge deal. You can just use salt and some paprika and garlic powder in place. So the shirataki noodles are packed in this kind of watery brine, and we have to rinse it off. So just simply put it in the colander and then rinse it under cold water. So after you've rinsed it well, you just want to let it hang out in your colander and let it dry for a few minutes. There's just one more step to getting these noodles ready. You want to get a non-stick skillet on the stove and turn on the heat to about medium-high. After your pan is pretty hot, you can drop in your drained noodles. So the sizzling is obviously the water from the washing, so you just want to keep them moving. So this further evaporates that water, which kind of causes that slight fishy smell to it, or fishy taste. So you want to just keep working this, drive off all that water. So after about 3 minutes of dry roasting, you'll notice they're getting a little bit sticky to themselves, and you can notice the water is very gone. So at this point you can take them out and put it in a bowl, and we'll get back to them later. For today's recipe, we're going to be using just half of a chicken breast. It might look a little big because I've already butterflied it, meaning I took a knife kind of sideways and opened it up so it's nice and thin. So to this, I'm just going to be adding those 3 spices. So this is Lawry's seasoning. This is a pretty popular seasoning, but you don't have to get this. It's mostly salt, garlic powder, and cayenne. This stuff's pretty salty, so you don't have to go too crazy on this. Okay. So for a little spice, I'm going to be adding some cayenne pepper, freshly ground black pepper. But lastly, I'm not going to add any oil to the pan, but instead I'm going to add the oil to the chicken. So this is some avocado oil. The longer you let this sit, the better the flavor will be, so the salt could penetrate the chicken. But if it's in a pinch, you can grill it right away, but I would wait at least 30 minutes to let that penetrate. So back to that nonstick skillet. On a medium-high heat, you're going to be adding that chicken. Give it a press down so you have full coverage. Don't touch it, just let it cook. For this thickness of chicken, I would go about 3 to 4 minutes per side. It's been about 3-4 minutes. You're going to give it a flip. So that's what we want to see, a little bit of charring, but not overly burnt or anything. So after you flip it, you can back the heat down to about medium so that, you know, the spices stuck to the bottom of the pan don't continue burning. And we're going to let this go for another 3-4 minutes. So it's been about 3 minutes now. I'm going to check the other side. So that's a nice color. I'm going to let the first side catch up to this side. So we're going to let this go for another 1.5 minutes. Alright, the chicken is fully cooked and it's nice and grilled on both sides. I'm going to take it off and we're going to let it rest. You can turn back the heat on the same pan. We're not going to wash it out. That's some delicious chicken fond we have at the bottom. We're going to add about a cup of heavy cream. So even though heavy cream is called heavy cream, it still has some water in it. So when we reduce it, it'll get rid of that water and get thicker. So we want to reduce it about 1/3 in volume. If you just take a spoon, you can kind of monitor how thick it's getting just by seeing how it coats the spoon. So you want to keep in mind that once we add the cheese and the butter, it's going to get a little bit thicker as well. So you want to go just a hair thinner than you want it in the end. So in the meantime, I'm going to season this up a little bit. Just going to sprinkle in about 1/8 teaspoon of Lawry's here. Lawry's. Going to be adding in the butter as well as the cheese. So after you add in the cheese, you want to reduce the heat to low. So the reason we do that is because cheese has a lot of fat in it, and when it's heated too quickly, it separates from the proteins of the cheese. So just give that a gentle stir. And you can kind of see we're getting a nice thick consistency here. So this will be nice when it wraps around the pasta. We're gonna let that reduce a little bit more on low. When it's about a minute away from being done, you can add in herbs of your choice. I only have dry pasta or dry basil on me at this time, but you should definitely use fresh basil or fresh parsley if you can. So that's a really nice thick cheese sauce. We're gonna go in with our pasta. Just drop it all in. And with a pair of tongs or chopsticks, just work that through. So we're gonna have a little bit of sauce left over here, but that's no problem. You can always put it in a Tupperware and keep it in the fridge. And the next time you make pasta, just use the old stuff. No problem. So I'll adjust the recipe, but this amount of sauce is probably good for 2 packages of your pasta. But after it's heated back up and the noodles are nice and combined, we are ready to serve. Chicken is rested. The only thing left to do is slice up the chicken and we'll be ready to plate up. And all I'm gonna do is cut it into little slices. See how we did? It's nice and juicy still, as you can tell. It's not stringy at all. Of course, you can mix this in with pasta, but first, serve it on top. This is something. zero carbs, but 100% flavor. All right, we did it. So that took less than 30 minutes. So this is definitely an easy recipe with high impact. So, cheesy pasta. Let's try some of that shirataki. It's obviously not going to be the same as pasta, but it definitely has a really nice texture. A little chewy. I don't get any of that fishy taste, and it definitely helps the way we prepared it. So make sure you definitely rinse that water out and dry roast it so all that fishiness is gone. So let's try some of that grilled chicken with the pasta now. All right, it's a big bite. That's a great combination. It's somewhere in between Alfredo and mac and cheese, like I said. It's really good. That sauce can go on anything. Sorry, excuse me. Alright everyone, thanks for stopping by. Please give this recipe a try. It is a winner. Even if you're not on keto or low carb, it is definitely a great recipe. If you liked what you saw, please consider subscribing. I'm going to be pumping out a lot more recipes. Alright, that's it. Thanks. See ya!